Sorry. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to come to our webinar today. My name is Mackenzie Darling, and I'm the Character Day producer, coming live from San Francisco at our studio at Let It Ripple Film Studio here in San Fran. And we're very, very excited to be joined today with our partners at Outward Bound California. We have Nettie Pardue, who's the Director of Education and Safety for Outward Bound, and she's going to be talking a little bit about character development courses throughout Outward Bound. So thank you so much, Nettie, for joining us today.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Before we get started, just a couple housekeeping items. One is definitely feel free to write any questions that you may have in the chat box throughout the course of this webinar. And you can also go to Twitter at Global Character and ask any questions there as well as you'd like, or as long as you'd like. And at the end of the webinar, we will make sure to answer all of those questions. So to begin, I wanted to just give you a little bit information about our global movement called Character Day. So Character Day is happening on September 22nd this year, and 3 years ago we created an experiment, and we started this film called The Science of Character, which is an 8-minute film around the neuroscience behind growth mindset and character development. And so we wanted to try an experiment where we were going to do a global film premiere from people from all over the world watching this film, diving into these discussion materials that we created around it, and have people really having this conversation about who am I and who do I want to be in the world. So Character Day was born. Without hardly any marketing for this event, we had over 1,500 groups around the world participate. So we very quickly realized that people were hungry for this type of conversation. The next year, in 2015, we had close to 7,000 events, and we added 2 more films, which I'll be talking about later on in this presentation. And this year, we are at close to 65,000 groups in over 96 countries. So it's really, really exploded. People are very excited about this conversation, and we do hope that you'll join us. If you haven't had a chance to yet, we do urge you to sign up at characterday.org. It takes 2 minutes, and again, this event will be happening on September 22nd this year. So what is Character Day? Character Day is really a day to refocus on ourselves and the 21st century world that we live in. Again, it's a day for us to stop and really ask ourselves, what makes us human? Who do we want to be in the world? And what do we want to give back? So why is this so important? Character used to be the backbone of education. However, it started being seen as religious, and once there was a separation of church and state, character education was taken out of the classroom. And all you really need to do these days, the violence and really a scary state of humanity that we're in. And so it's really a time for us to step back, bring character back into the classroom, back into these programs, and with wonderful partners like Outward Bound that challenge ourselves on who we are as human beings. You know, as I'm working with a lot of different school districts and partners, even the last couple years, it's been amazing to see how many wellness centers and social and emotional learning programs have been brought to schools after school programs, you know, even corporations bringing in wellness and compassion teams. So you can definitely see something is changing within our civilization. So I want to start off here going over the periodic table of character strengths. This is one of my favorite things that we offer for Character Day. So within your discussion materials, you would receive this poster that shows the 24 character strengths outlined here. And a lot of different organizations and schools use this differently. One of my favorite stories was we've been working with the San Francisco Unified School District. This will be the 3rd year that they've come on board. And the superintendent there printed out about 500 of these posters and put them into every single one of the classrooms within the district. And it's just a really great reminder for teachers, administrators, and students to come and look at this poster every day and to recognize their own character strengths and then also recognize ones that they'd like to work on. Here's a picture of our discussion kits that we offer. We have 2 discussion kits. One is for the film that I mentioned before, The Science of Character, and then we have another discussion kit for The Making of a Mensch, which I'll discuss in a moment. Unfortunately, the cutoff date to get these delivered to your schools or organizations was last Friday, since they won't be delivered in time for September 22nd. However, the good news is if you go to characterday.org and you go under the discussion kit section of that page, we have all of these materials online and printable for you to use, as well as for all of our other films and for the partner films that we're going to be curating this year. We also have online discussion kits that will help further this conversation. So here are 3 films that we'll be offering this year. As I mentioned, we're doing The Science of Character, the 8-minute film around the neuroscience behind growth mindset and character development. We're also offering a 10-minute film called The Adaptable Mind, which is it's one of my favorites. It's a really engaging film about what makes us human in this 21st century world that we live in. And then lastly, we're offering our film, The Making of a Mensch, which is also a 10-minute film, kind of similar to The Science of Character, but through a Jewish lens and the teachings of Musar. On top of these 3 films, we're also curating 3 other film series from some of our amazing partners. So one of our partners is Class Dojo, and we're going to be offering their 5 series films on growth mindset that are animations and wonderful for the younger kiddos. We're also going to be offering the film series by Louis Schwartzberg called Gratitude Revealed, and that has about 5-minute films on creativity, courage, empathy, all of these wonderful character strengths. So please do dive into that on Character Day. And lastly, we are working with Shaboom that has animated series, again, great for the young kiddos, that goes over character strengths, how to live a beautiful life, also through a Jewish lens. One of the greatest initiatives that we're taking on this year, and as we've done in the past, is we're bringing all of these films and discussions and all of these resources together through a global live cast Q&A. So this is really a great opportunity where we're bringing these experts in social and emotional learning and character development all together on one day. It actually starts on September 21st at 6 p.m. Since we have so many international people that are going to be tapping into this conversation, and ends at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on September 22nd. So again, I urge you to go to characterday.org, and you can go under the Q&A speaker session to see some of the lineups and explain how to tap into that conversation on September 22nd. Some of the people that I'm very, very excited to announce that will be part of this global conversation. We have Angela Duckworth, Martin Seligman, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, and Sal Khan from Khan Academy, just to name a few. So definitely take a moment and check that lineup out, because it's going to be a great, great conversation. Through all of our work throughout Character Day, we've been working with some amazing, amazing partners. So just like Outward Bound and Nettie here, we have other partners such as Common Sense Media, Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation, New York Department, just to name a few. And what we've really come to realize is that Character Day is an amazing day to kind of kick all of this off and bring awareness. But we wanted to create a resource for everyone that people could use 365 days a year. So we created an educational resource hub where you can go in and find movies, books, apps, lesson plans around different character strengths. So here's a picture of it here. You can go in and you can filter by if you're a student, parent, HR department, teacher. What age range are you looking for? And then again, are you looking for a book on empathy, maybe a lesson plan on kindness? It's going to be all there for you with thousands of resources. So that'll be going live on September 22nd. And then we're also building out a character app, which is called The Science of Character. And this app will be available also on September 22nd. So all of the wonderful resources that are online for the Education Hub will be also available for this app. So what can your character day look like? You know, what's beautiful about Character Day is how flexible it is. So we provide all of the films, discussion materials, the global Google Hangout, as well as the Education Hub, but you can use those resources any which way that you want. So on September 22nd, it can be any size, any place, and anywhere. So that means that you could have thousands of people or students in a huge auditorium showing the films, or it could just be a small family of 4 sitting at home in their living room watching one of the films or all 6 of the films. Again, however you want your character day to look like is up to you. It could be at noon, it could be at 6 p.m. at night. Some suggested activities, what I again would recommend is going to characterday.org, and there we have buttons for educators, congregations, corporations, and individuals. And if you click on one of those buttons, it's going to give you a sampling of if you have a 30-minute character day, an hour character day, what those different activities could look like. Some of the fun things that we've seen outside of using the films and the discussion materials and the global Google Hangout, people have done art projects, they've put on plays, they've done panels, they've brought in speakers. So it's really, really up to you how you want your day to look and feel. So Character Day really isn't, just us creating this here at Let It Ripple. It's really for all of you, and we are looking to you to help this become such a humongous global movement. Again, we have close to 65,000 groups participating, which is so, so exciting. But we would love for you to help pass it on. So one good thing to do is make sure that you sign up at characterday.org. It takes 2 minutes, and that way you'll be getting all the up-to-date information and newsletters about this wonderful event as it comes forth. I would also recommend you liking our Twitter page and Facebook. And just keep in mind that our hashtag is hashtag Character Day 2016 at Global Character. And then I would also recommend going to our characterday.org website, and we have a 1-minute trailer there that is a great way to send that off to people so they can get a better sense of what this day is all about. And I'm going to just wrap this up with a photo of me, the Character Day producer, and my contact information. I am definitely here to answer any questions that you may have. We have 8 more days till Character Day, so please reach out to me if you have any questions. And thank you so much for listening to how to host your perfect Character Day event. And Nettie, I'm going to pop it over to you.
May I unmute?
You're good.
Okay, there is an echo. Hello? Hello? There's quite a significant echo. Okay, it's better. All right, here we go. Here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Nettie Pardue from Outward Bound, California, Director of Education and Safety. Thrilled to be here with you all. I'm a little out of my comfort zone today. I'm doing a webinar in a non-outdoor setting, but we're going to roll with it, and here we go. And I'm going to have some assistance from Alana helping me go through the slides today. So today I want to begin talking with you. Tiffany gave a great overview. Mackenzie gave a great overview of 5 ways that we can engage in Character Day. And I'd like to spend some time today talking with you about 5 ways Outward Bound builds character. So we'll go ahead and switch to the next slide. Aristotle said that character is defined by the relatively stable ways of thinking, ways of acting, and ways of feeling that are beneficial to self and others. This can be attributed to Angela Duckworth, who Mackenzie mentioned is someone who will be hosting an event on Character Day. I want to begin the talk today with just framing up how we view character. And this definition of character absolutely needs further expansion, but we think this represents a little bit about what we do at Outward Bound. It's important to stress at Outward Bound that moral character is very much a part of our definition. And by moral character, we mean it's not enough to know what's right or wrong. It's important and necessary to act on that knowledge. This is a key component of what we do at Outward Bound. Next slide. So what is Outward Bound? For those of you who are on the webinar today, who many of you probably know about Outward Bound, and some of you may not know Outward Bound. Outward Bound is an educational organization that for 75 years has placed equal emphasis on developing character and development of the intellect. Our approach is to teaching and learning is rooted in the classroom, but has branched out and takes place in a broad range of learning environments. Today, Outward Bound is best known for teaching through, not for the wilderness, and it's a leading provider of experiential and outdoor education for youth and adults. And I want to stress that Outward Bound California, which is where I work for, 2/3 of our students receive scholarships here in California. And we're really proud of that in terms of making Outward Bound programs accessible to all. So that's a little bit of overview about what is Outward Bound. Next slide. And really, I think it's key to underscore our vision, which very much fits into the idea of building character and Character Day. Our vision is to create more resilient and compassionate individuals and a more resilient and compassionate world. So I'm just going to pause for a second there and have us think about that. A more resilient and compassionate individuals and a more resilient and compassionate world. I have a quote up in front of my desk that I took down this morning, and I want to share with you all. It's on a little sticky pad, and hopefully y'all can see this. I'll read it to you. But on this piece of sticky pad, it says, "Character is what we do when no one else is looking." So while we have that overall definition of character, I also want to underscore that this is a key element of how I view character too. So next slide. So we're going to talk about 5 ways that Outward Bound builds character. The first way is a unique physical environment. And while each of these 5 elements is standalone, we believe is standalone, they also fit together into a process by which we build character. It's an entire process. So you'll see in this process that these 5 elements, components build on each other. We begin by placing an individual in a unique physical setting. It could be contrasting, novel, or stimulating. A unique physical setting can be a wilderness or a backcountry, a river, a mountain, a canyon, an ocean, or it can be a local park, a rock climbing site, a remote river, or even walking across the Golden Gate Bridge here in what we do in California. Our programs can be front country or remote. And this unique physical environment is key to our programs. I've even had an urban youth go to a local park 15 minutes from their house in the Redwoods. So it doesn't have to be far off into the wilderness. It can be something very close to home. Sort of these micro regions that are closer to where we live. So this first component is that unique physical environment. Next slide. The second component is a unique social environment. And this is the second way we build character, and it's the formation of a unique social environment with an inclusive and supportive group identity. If that inclusive and supportive group identity does not exist on an Outward Bound program, we really almost wouldn't call it an Outward Bound program. It is critical to the group to have this inclusive and group support identity, and we work hard to create this in the beginnings of our programs through norms and how groups establish themselves. Living in an intimate group experience, students are faced with the positives and challenges of working together with this intact group. And through this intact group, they're going to encounter challenges along the way and what it's like to be working with this diverse population. So that unique social environment is the second element of how we build character. Next slide. The third component of our character building is where students are presented with a set of sequential tasks that are concrete, challenging, manageable, and consequential. The affective, cognitive, and psychomotor domains are all represented here. The cognitive meaning gaining mental knowledge, the affective meaning feelings or emotions and attitudes around the self, and the psychomotor is manual or physical skills. It might be working through a complicated group dynamic. It might be using a map to navigate to the next location. It might be cooking meals or planning meals together. It could be dealing with challenging physical elements and many, many other things. Through these tasks, students might experience frustration, failure, defeat, and of course, success. Mastery and competence are often a result of these problem-solving tasks. Next slide. Guided reflection is the fourth way we build character. We use the experiential learning cycle, which includes having an experience, reflecting on that experience, making meaning of that experience, and transferring the learning on our programs. We integrate reflection into every learning experience. Students are often frequently asked to contemplate on the previous experiences and integrate the learning into future tasks. The reflection process is integral to the character building process. And we will often find our students immediately getting into circles to have that reflection process. Early on in the course, we build those values around the reflection, and students begin to take the reflection process upon their own. I've oftentimes had students get to camp where we've established this norm around reflection. They've gotten to camp early on, and they've asked me, hey, Nettie, can we sit quietly for a few minutes and have a moment of reflection? So it's something that I think that we oftentimes don't have enough in our society, these moments, these pauses where students can stop. And really what we're finding is the students begin to crave this reflection process and this processing time to integrate their learning. We also have something on our course called a solo. And we generally build it in a sort of sequential way. We build it where students begin to have short moments of reflection early on in the course, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then by later on in the course, we'll give students either an hour-long solo. Some students on longer courses will have a 1 day or 1 night, a 2 day or a 3 day solo. And this process of solo is actually, again, this idea of having time to reflect upon the learning, making meaning, and transferring the outcomes. Oftentimes, this solo process, the solo is perceived by students as a very scary experience to sit alone with their thoughts. And upon completion of the solo, participants often feel most proud of this accomplishment. Next slide. The fifth and final means of how we teach character at Outward Bound on an Outward Bound course is through this idea of service. And while service is the act of compassion and giving to others is emphasized daily as a core value, we also incorporate service days into our programs. And we impel students this idea of giving and serving through their lives. So we utilize the idea of service on a daily basis within the programs, but we also encourage students to serve on a specific service day, and we also really invite them to bring this idea of service and compassion back into their lives. So just to summarize, we've talked about 5 elements that are key to the character building process at Outward Bound. We've talked about the unique physical environment. We've talked about the social setting. We've talked about a set of problem-solving tasks that are sequentially arranged for the students. We've talked about this idea of reflection and learning from the successes and failures on a course. And we've talked about this idea of service and giving to others, compassion and giving to others as a core value and something that we integrate. Next slide. So those three. Okay, I think we're okay. The next slide is that that we really want to emphasize, Outward Bound has been doing some work on this idea of character is a 21st century movement. And we're honored to be, we've been working in the last year or two with the S.D. Bechtel Jr. Foundation to continually improve how character education is woven into our educational system. And our goal is to contribute to the character education movement by improving how character is taught, how character outcomes are measured, and by making expeditions accessible to students from all walks of life. Next slide. And then just the final slide is that Outward Bound is one of a number of youth development organizations dedicated to addressing the challenges faced by our nation's youth today. And you can see a number of logos represented here from organizations that you're probably familiar with. Next slide. So I want to thank you today. I know this was a very short overview of the work that Outward Bound does to build character, and I would encourage you and invite you all to sign up for one of our courses or reach out to me for more additional information, or reach out to one of my colleagues, Emma Rapp, at Outward Bound California, to discuss how we can help you bring more character education into your school or into your individuals or your families. We believe strongly in the work that we do, and we believe that the Outward Bound process of character building works, and it has for 75 years, and we're always looking to include more and expand our work to other individuals. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Nettie. I have very, very fond memories of Outward Bound myself when I was younger, and love your organization, and so glad to have you be a part of our webinar today. Are there any questions, Elena, coming up? While we wait, just a reminder, if you would like to ask questions, please put them in the chat bar, or find us at Global Character on Twitter. While we're waiting, Nettie, can you explain to me, is there any, why is there a challenging situation? Why is that critical to building character throughout Outward Bound? Can you kind of walk us through that a little? Oh, we can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Well, our mission here is to transform lives through challenge and discovery, and we believe that element of challenge can happen in many ways. It can happen through the challenge of being in a unique physical setting. It could be in the group setting, and through this idea, and it can be a challenging group dynamic. It can be a challenging physical element. But we believe that that element of challenge allows students to have those experiences of success and failure, and then through the reflection process. But the challenging element, and whatever the physical, emotional, mental challenge that students have, we believe that challenge element allows us to reach to the place where we can actually reflect on those challenges to help us understand our own character and how we respond to situations. And character is almost the challenge is the catalyst for us to be able to experience the character building.
Awesome, perfect. Great, well, I think we're going to wrap this up today. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today in the webinar. Thank you again, Nettie, for your wonderful presentation. It was lovely working with you, and everyone have a great week.
Bye.
Take care.